Hello and welcome. This lesson is going to be about writing system of equations part 2. And if you remember in the previous assignment, we talked about how there are some system of equations where you're going to have two equations which equals total of money. For example, I went to a restaurant and I bought 2 tacos plus 3 burritos and I pay $5. Let's say the other day I went to the same restaurant and I bought 3 tacos plus 2 burritos and I pay $6. So this would be two equation which equals total money. The other type of problems we talked about was quantity versus value. So one equation was going to be the quantity of something like tickets, coins, etc. And the other equation would be about value, which is equals like money or value of those items talked about on the quantity. Well, today we're going to talk about a different type of problem where you're going to use this formula. And basically this formula stands for the first variable goes here, or the first thing that appears in the problem goes here. And then it'll be equal to the multiplier, which these are the keywords: half, double, twice, triple. Please notice that twice means 2 times, and then like triple means 3 times, etc. So things that can multiply. Then the next is going to be followed by the second variable, the second thing that appears on the problem. And then these are keywords for plus, and this is for minus. Very well. So let's look at the first problem. As always, start by identifying your variables. So here at IC, write a system of equations that can be used to determine I, the number of iPhones, and A, the number of Android phones the store has. So then I see that I'm going to be dealing with I for the number of iPhones and A, the number of Android phones. Now let's go to identify the equations. So let's read. A cell phone store has 12 more iPhones than Android phones. In total, there are 462 cell phones. So let's cross this out because it's extra. So in total, there are 464 cell phones. Okay. I see that I have some of the keywords for this type of problem, so more and also total. So let's take a look. Remember the formula? So when I look at this sentence, the first variable that appears is the iPhone. And then if I look for a multiplier, there's none, so I can go ahead and leave it blank. The second variable will be the Android, and because it's more, I know it's going to be addition, and the number that I'm going to add is 12. So right there, I can write my first equation, which is I equals A plus 12. The second equation here, it says in total, there are 462 cell phones. Well, so I know there's a total of 462 cell phones. What kind of cell phones do we have? Well, we have iPhones and Androids. So right here on this side of the equation, I can write I plus A. So now I have my system of equations. And I can see that I have the letter I alone, so I'm going to put a box around and a star. And on the other equation, I'm going to draw an arrow under the I, and I'm going to write A plus 12, and then I'm copy the rest of the equation. Now I'm going to combine like terms, so I'm going to have 2A plus 12 equals 462. Now I'm going to send the 12 to the other side, so this would be 2A equals negative 12 plus 462. So this would equals 450. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So the total number of Android phones is 225. So there we go. Now I'm going to find the iPhones by copying the star, and I'll bring the value of A and I'll plug it in right there. So this would be I equals 225 plus 12. I equals 237. So there you go. These are the answers for the first problem. Okay, let's go to the next problem. As always, let's start by identifying the variables. And I can identify the variables by looking right there. G, the number of girls. B, the number of boys. Okay, so let's write G, the number of girls, and B, the number of boys. Let's identify the equations now. So in my first sentence, it says Mr. Smith's class has a mixture of boys and girls. He has a total of 28 students. So right there, I can see that I can write the equation B plus G, so boys plus girls equals 28 students. The next equation is there are 3 times as many boys as girls. So I know I'm going to use my formula, and I see that I have my first variable as boys. I see the multiplier 3 times. My second variable is girl, and I don't see any keywords for plus or minus, so I know that this area I'm not going to use. So my second equation is B equals 3G. So I can put a box right there and a star, and since I don't have a lot of space right here, I'm going to write my equation here to the side. So B plus G equals 28, and instead of B, because if you notice B is the one that is alone, I'm going to substitute 3G for B, and I'm going to bring down this G equals 28. So I'm going to combine like terms. So this would be 4G equals 28, and we divide it by 4. The number of girls is 7. And to find the number of boys, I'm going to copy the star, and we bring the value of G, and we plug it in. So this would be B equals 3, open parentheses 7, and then 3 times 7 is 21. So there we go, we got the number of girls and the number of boys, and we solved this problem. Let's go on to the next problem. Let's start by identifying the variables. And in this problem, I can identify that I have the number of dimes and Q, the number of quarters. So we're going to write D is the number of dimes, Q is the number of quarters. Let's now identify the equations. So Ms. Thompson has some quarters and dimes in her pocket and has a total of $3.10. So right there, I see a total. So I'm going to write quarters plus dimes equals $3.10. Please remember to add the value of the quarter, which in this case is 25 cents, and the value of a dime, which is 10 cents. So right there is the first equation. Second equation, we're going to use the formula. So plus or minus, n says the number of dimes, so the number of dimes is the first letter, is 4 more than twice the number of quarters. So we have the number twice, which is the multiplier. We have the second variable, and we have the keyword more, so that means it will be plus, and it will be 4. So basically, our equation is going to be number of dimes, 2 times the quarters, plus 4. So right there, we identify the equations, and we can box this one because the D is alone. So the letter D is alone. And we're going to put a star right there. Let's go ahead and copy this equation. And we're going to put the arrow under the D, and that means we copy the top here, 0.25Q plus 0.10. We open parentheses, and we enter 2Q plus 4 equals 310. Now we're going to solve it. So this would be 0.25q plus 0.10 times 2 is 0.20. Q 0.10 times 4 is 0.40 equals 310. Now we're going to combine like terms. So this would be 0.45q plus 0.40 equals 310. I'm going to send the 0.40 to the other side. So this would be negative 0.40 plus 310. So this would be 0.45q equals 270. Then we're going to divide both sides by 0.45. And the number of quarters equals 6. Very well. We found the number of quarters. Now to find the number of dimes, we're going to copy this equation here. And we're going to bring the value over here. So the number of dimes is going to be 2 times 6 plus 4. The number of dimes equals 12 plus 4. The number of dimes equals 16. So there we go. We found the number of dimes and the number of quarters. Let's go on to the last problem. This problem has to do with the perimeter of a rectangle. And as always, let's start out with a variable. And we can identify the variables as L, the length, and W, the width. So let's write it down. So this would be the length, and this will be the width. Length is the largest side, and width is the smallest side. In a rectangle, there's 2 widths and 2 lengths. Okay, the problem starts with the perimeter of a rectangle is 260. Well, let's think about perimeter. Perimeter is defined as the sum of all sides. So if we look at this example or this picture, we can write the perimeter is L plus W plus L plus W, because I have L plus W plus L plus W would be the sum of all the sides. If I combine like terms, then this would be 2L and or plus 2W. And this is a formula you want to remember, the perimeter of a rectangle. So anytime you see something like this, you want to think 2L plus 2W. So anytime you see perimeter of a rectangle, you want to think about 2L plus 2W. Okay? So when I'm writing my equations and I see that the perimeter of a rectangle is 260, I can translate as 2L plus 2W equals 260. And that will be my first equation. My second equation, I'm going to use my formula, and it says the length, so the first variable is L, is 5 less than twice the width. So I have twice, which will be my multiplier, and I have width as my second variable, and then I have less, which means minus, and we have the number 5. So in other words, this would be 2W minus 5. So there you go. We have a letter by itself and then another equation. So we're ready to solve by substitution. So let me copy the top one and then substitute the value of L. So copy 2, open parentheses, 2W minus 5 plus 2w equals 260. Now let's solve it. Eliminate parentheses. So this would be 4w minus 10 plus 2w equals 260. When I combine like terms, we get 6w minus 10 equals 260. We're going to move the 10 to the other side. So this would be 6w equals 10. Bring down the 260. So we got 6w equals 270. We're going to divide both sides by 6. This would be w equals 45. And then we're going to copy the star. And we're going to bring the value of w and plug it in. So this would be L equals 2 times 45 minus 5. L equals 90 minus 5. L equals 85. So there we go. We have the length and the width of the rectangle. So this concludes the 3 examples for today's lesson. In your assignment today, on a separate piece of paper, remember you're going to write your name, the period, and the title, which will be found on the Go Formative in the blue section. Okay, so you just write the assignment number that is on the blue section on the Go Formative. And please remember to copy the number of the problem inside a circle and always identify your variable, your equation, and solve your problem showing your work. Okay, so this concludes today's lesson on writing system of equations part 2. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.